Hi, my name is Catherine and from the PinkCamoSystem. Today we're going to be doing a collaboration video with Christine on polyfragmented systems and the differences between them and normal systems. So we are the normal system and they are the polyfragmented system, and we will be cutting to them to tell the differences in the end. So we have 8 in our system, but normal systems can go anywhere from 2 to, I don't know, probably around 20. And so we have 2 protectors, an internal and external caretaker whose name is Sky. Our other protector's name is Susan. We have a teenager whose name is James. We have one who identifies as a little Claire, who is 11. We have a persecutor who is Alex. We have I think you call her an introvert, who doesn't really come out very often. And she used to be called Nancy, but now she likes to be called Stacy because she identifies with that name much more, she said. And then we have our host, who we also identify as our core because she is the body name, and that is Shannon. And so I think that pretty much covers everybody. And then there's me, Catherine. And so I'm pretty sure that covers everybody, but don't hold me to it. So, one of the main things about the differences between normal systems and polyfragmented systems are just the sheer number of alters. So, normal system is anywhere from 2 to 20, I believe, and a polyfragmented system can go anywhere from 70 into the thousands. So that alone is just a big difference. And they have lots of fragments, and I guess normal systems can have fragments too, but we don't have any fragments that I'm aware of. But we are still growing and evolving, and I'm sure we haven't found all of our alters, and everything that we have in our system yet. So, yeah. And so, one of the other differences is the way that they front. We front all the time. Everybody in our system fronts, except for Stacy. Stacy is an introvert. I think she has fronted maybe 1 or 2 times, but she's a pretty dark person and just doesn't like the world in general. So she prefers not to front. But when Shannon is triggered, it kind of depends on the trigger, I believe. One of us will come out and, deal with, what needs to be dealt with, until she can, handle it again. And so that's kind of the difference. And so I believe that that's one of the main differences is how that they front, and we all front, all the time. We don't have like a schedule or anything, we don't take turns. I think it just, depends, on who's needed at the time. And so that's how we front. And then, if we're not completely in control of the body, usually one of us is almost always co-conscious with Shannon. So, yeah, that's one of the main differences. And then I think another one of the differences is the mind space aspect of it, or the inner world. I think polyfragmented systems have much larger inner worlds, because I think they have like planets and galaxies, because I believe that they would have to have much larger inner worlds to accommodate all the different alters and fragments. Whereas we only have 8, so we have a castle, a whipping willow, and our inner world has grown a little bit. Now we do have a forest so that we can take walks and, spend time under the stars and just spend time together. So as we find more altars, our inner world is growing some. So we do have a video that depicts our inner world, if you are interested. in that, just pop on over and check it out. So yeah, I believe that those are the differences that I know of between normal systems and polyfragmented systems. So we're going to go ahead and pop on over to Christine now and let her tell you the differences that she knows about polyfragmented systems. So yeah, check it out.
Hi guys, so it's Hannah and it's nice to meet you all. Check out our collab video too if you want. So some of the differences between non-poly systems and polyfragmented systems are, well, the amount of alters. There's a lot more alters usually in polyfragmented, all the time. That's like the whole definition of a polyfragmented system, is there's more alters. Alters can range just as much as in a regular system, but oftentimes they're in much higher quantities. So a non-polyfragmented system, like Pink Camo said, probably has, I don't know, 10 to 20 alters, but a polyfragmented system can have anywhere from 72 to over 1,000. We have 70 something or other. I don't know. A lot. So one difference that I notice is the way that we front. A lot of us front, instead of being in a sort of linear fashion, we front in like groups, I guess. Now, I again, I don't know how polyfragment or non-polyfragmented systems front, but that's what we do. We have like a group of 4 to 6 alters that front end interchangeably for probably about a month or two, and then that group cycles out to be into another group. So we'll have a group of, say, Anthony, Psych, Ez, and Jason, and they'll be fronting for a month or two, and they'll know what's going on, and then they'll cycle out. And then another group of Yolena, Kiki, me, and Cody will be fronting, and then we'll cycle out, and then it'll be another group, and so on and so forth. And part of that is because we like to make it a little bit more cohesive, because in non-poly systems, everybody's a little bit closer, or at least I feel like they would be. You're not, there's not as many of you, so there's probably not as much of a problem with communication, whereas in polyfragmented systems there's so many, and some people can be a little bit intense, and so communication can get really hard. So having people in groups cycling out in their fronting makes communication a lot easier, because not only do you have 4 people knowing at least mildly what's going on, but you have 4 people at a time knowing at what's mildly going on, and they can talk to each other outside of fronting. So that group of 4 people will disperse and then tell other people what's going on, and then that other 4 group of people that came up after them can do the same thing, and the cycle repeats, and it makes daily life a little bit easier. Another thing is a lot of polyfragmented systems have much higher rates of fragments. A fragment is an alter that's not quite as developed as, say, an ANP or even an EP. ANP, apparently normal part, EP, emotional part, stuff like that. Fragment alters tend to stick to, have one traumatic memory, or maybe 2 or 3, and it's of the same instance, and they have very simple emotions. Like a fragment maybe has a memory of something bad and they're angry about it, and then there's another fragment and they have that same memory and they're sad about it, or another fragment and they're like just not feeling any, I don't know I don't know where I was going with that, but whatever. The amount of fragments can also hinder the development of healing yourself. Oh man, I'm wording this all horribly. But basically the best way to go around that is by using therapy, talk therapy, and trauma therapy to integrate those fragments. And that tends to take a lot longer with polyfragmented system because there's a lot of fragments as opposed to a non-poly system where they might have like one or two that just sort of comet around every now and again. Poly systems like ours have like 12 that comet around every now and again and then scream a lot. So that's one thing. And then one of the last things that we notice is a pretty big difference is the size of the mind space. So for anybody who doesn't know, our mind space, we did a video of it a while back, but our mind space is huge. It's an entire planet, and it's an entire planet with 2 continents on it, an underworld and an outer space. And it's very strictly separated. So we've got an entire continent for non-human alters, and then an entire continent for human alters, and then there's Toho kind of sitting in there in the radioactive wasteland that is her area. And then we have an underworld where all of our unpleasant places are, and then we have the abyss, which is kind of like outer space. And the abyss is actually our like huge communication center. So every altar who goes there, it changes for them, and it allows multiple altars to be there at one time and be able to communicate with each other. Whereas if we were just hanging out in human land and then another altar's in non-human land and they're going to try and talk, they can't talk. So it allows for better communication, and it also allows for a little bit of co-fronting. For us, that's where our groups sit. So our groups, when they're not fronting, they're separated. They're like completely separated. But when they are fronting, like and at least mildly co-conscious, they go to the abyss. And then the abyss, because it changes, it looks just like their normal place, but now they're with a non-human altar, or they're with other stuff, I guess. And then nobody goes down to the underworld because the underworld sucks. Alright, so that's about all that I have to say on that. I'll let you guys get back to Pink Camo. Bye!
Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you found it informative. And check out all of our other videos. Please like, share, and subscribe.